tutorial, I'll be showing you how to clone our GitHub repository. The first thing you need to do is make sure you have Git installed. If you do not have Git installed, you must navigate to this link provided and download Git. I have a Mac, so it's showing me the resources for Mac. You would just have to click download for your specified software and download and use one of the following options to install Git. The options may vary from software. I personally use Homebrew for my Mac to download Git. The next step, which is an optional step, is to download GitHub Desktop. You would use this link to navigate to the download page, where you will click this button to download for your software, where you will download the installer and install using the installer. Install GitHub Desktop using the installer. GitHub Desktop is a graphical user interface that you can use to perform actions that would otherwise be performed using the command line. Now once you have those installed, you will then copy the repository URL from the repository page. So the link has been provided to you, and you will just click it, which will navigate to the repository page. And then from there, you click on code, and you have the option of HTTPS, SSH, or GitHub client. I am using HTTPS, so I will copy the link to the clipboard. Since I am installing with the terminal, I will navigate to my terminal. And then from there, I will navigate to the place that I would like to store my my clone repository in. So I would like to store it to my desktop, so I will then cd desktop. And from there, I will type git clone and paste in my URL. It is now installing and cloning the Git repository. Okay, it's now downloaded all the files and cloned the repository. So to check it, I will then navigate to the newly created folder. So cd ArtLens, and now it's navigated to the folder. Now to double check, I will list all the files in the repository, which matches what is shown on my the main page of the GitHub page. Now to use the second option, which is the GitHub Desktop, we will go to this page, the repository, and then from there, you will navigate to which version you want to clone with. So I am going to use HTTPS again. So now instead of clicking on the URL link, I will click on Open with GitHub Desktop. And then from there, I will make sure it's in the correct path. For this version, I'll be downloading into my documents path. So it's already set up properly. So now I just have to click on Clone. Okay. Now that everything is properly set up, you can double check it by clicking on Show in Finder. And as you can see, it is in the correct file directory.
Hello everyone and welcome to this short tutorial on how to install and set up the Anaconda environment so we can run the Flask API for the backend of our ArtLens project. So let's get started. First off, you should have this file which is going to be under the documents folder. And in this file, you can actually find precise instructions on how to install everything, how to set up everything. But I'm gonna follow all these steps so you guys can do it easily and you can just do this at the same time as you are basically watching this video. So let's click on this link, which basically take us here, and let's go to download now. So you can, it's actually highly recommended for you to sign up in this site. It's absolutely free and it is something that I personally recommend, but it's not mandatory. So you can just skip registration, okay? And you can just click on download. So that's gonna start downloading the whole thing. I already did one, so I'm gonna cancel this download and I'm just gonna use this file that I have right here. It's literally the same thing, okay? So we do next, we read all this, and then we do next again. And from here, it's not gonna work for me because I already have Anaconda installed on my system, but I actually have a folder here. Let me see if I can actually find it. So yeah, I'm just gonna use this test folder so we can install. And for this, I highly recommend it to check on this. So basically Anaconda can be used as one of your system environment variables. Then everything else seems fine. If you want, you can click here or not. And then you can proceed to install everything. By the moment, I already have Anaconda installed on my system, so I'm not gonna do this again, right? So this should be by the end goal of this entire section right now. It's just having this Anaconda Navigator ready for you. So for the creating environments, you have two options. So the first one is just going directly here and create environments here, just by clicking create location, and you can specify the packages and so on. But I'm gonna teach you how to do it using the command line. Okay, so we're not gonna do this, but of course you can do it on your own. For me, it's a little bit troublesome right now. So what we're gonna do is that, assuming that you already have the repository cloned, or basically that you already watch the part in which Dory explains how to clone the repository and so on. So we basically go and open a terminal. In this case, I recommend PowerShell because since Anaconda is part of your environment variables, you can easily set up everything here. Now, if you try to do git bash or something like that, it's not really gonna work because git bash is more for for working with GitHub and stuff, with all those GitHub commands and so on. So I think it's better to create the environments and so on to just use PowerShell. Okay, so the way that we do it is the following. Okay, so, and by the way, you have all these steps on the file. Again, you have it basically here, right? All these steps. But for now, let's just try to do everything along the way, okay? So first off, to create a new environment, we do conda create and ArtLens env, okay? So now we can actually create it. Okay, yes. So to activate this environment, we do conda activate. Okay, so that's activated, and now we'll install the required libraries. So first off, we go to backend, right? And then we do and then we'll do pip install our requirements.txt. Okay, so perfect. Okay, so to make sure that this is actually installed, let's do flask version so it works. And just to make sure, let's do a streamlit version, and it works. So that's pretty much it. The environment is activated, everything is activated, so for now we're good. And let's just proceed with the next step, that is setting up the Flask API.
So in this video, I will be showing you how to get Anaconda running for macOS. So the first thing you want to do is head on to anaconda.com/download, and then here you're just gonna enter your email. Or you could also skip the registration, whichever you want, and then you download the version that you want for your Mac. So if your Mac is Intel, then you would download. I recommend the graphical installer because it's easier. I have an Apple Silicon, so I'll download this one. And then we just wait until it installs. I already did it once, so you can see it there, but I'm just gonna do it again so you guys can see the whole process. So now it'll tell you this, so you just allow that, and then you continue through the installation, agree with the terms and conditions, and install it. Now it's gonna ask you for your password, so just type it in, your Mac password. So once it's done, you'll be good to go to run the program. Now I already have it, so I'll get this error, and you continue and close, and then you move to trash. So then you can head to your launchpad, and you'll see the navigator here. You open it up and you'll get this window. Now from this window, I'm gonna show you how to create the environment directly. I already have it, but I'm gonna delete it real quick. You can delete an environment right here. So this is the different parts of Anaconda that you can use, and the one that I'm gonna go over is environments and how to create your environment. But you also have the learning and community, and the home just shows you the apps, and here you can see the apps installed, not installed, as well as the environment you're in. So to create a new environment, you head to environments and then click down here where it says create, and you give a name to your environment. So we can call it ArtLens -env, and you set your Python version. So let's use 3.10.16, and you create, and it'll start creating the environment for you. And from here, it's just really easy to then go into VS Code and run your code. So now it's set up. It has this initial packages. So let's head to VS Code. Now you want to head into the repository for the ArtLens project. This you clone for GitHub, and there's also a guide on how to do that in the videos. So you just head here and go up where it says terminal and new terminal. There's also a shortcut for it, but I don't use it that much. Now here it's really easy. You just use conda activate, and the name of your environment, ArtLens env. And right here you can see that we are on the virtual environment. If you see this between parentheses, the name of your environment. And now we're just gonna head in the ArtLens project. We're gonna head to the backend, and we're gonna go to the requirements.txt and install it. So we're gonna do cd backend to go to the backend, And from here we can do pip install -r and then requirements.txt. And it also installing all the necessary packages for this project. Okay, so now that that's done, we can check if, for example, we can do Flask version to check if Flask, which is the package that we use in a library, is actually installed, and it outputs the Flask version of the Python version and the this one. But yeah, you can also try another one, Streamlit, which is one we use version, and as you can see, it's installed. So yeah, that's how you use Anaconda and macOS.
For the installation and setup process for the Django backend. The first thing that you must do is ensure that you have Python 3.11 or later installed on the computer. I have provided the link to the version of Python here. You can navigate there to download the one that is appropriate for this project and your computer. The next step is to install Poetry. You may install Poetry using pip install Poetry, but please note that you might have to use a different version of pip, such as pip 3, to install Poetry, depending on how you download your Python. For more information on Poetry, I have provided the link to the documentation below, where you can choose which method of installation is appropriate for you. Next thing is to install MySQL and ensure that it's running. To install MySQL, I have provided a link to the different versions where you may pick the version that you would like and your software version, and now the appropriate one for your computer. An optional step is to download MySQL Workbench. I have also provided a link where you can navigate to the appropriate version for your software. The Workbench is a graphical user interface used to interact with the server. Next thing is to navigate to the Django backend. I'll be using the VS Code terminal to navigate to the Django backend. First thing, but before that, I will show that everything is installed on my computer. Now, to navigate to the Django backend. Okay. Notice I already have the project open in my VS Code. From here, I can create a new terminal. Since I have the project open in my VS Code, it will automatically start me at the directory of the project. From this directory, I will then change to the Django backend. So cd backend Django. Now that I have successfully navigated to the Django backend, I will be installing my dependencies. So I will be using Poetry install. My dependencies have already been downloaded, so everything is running correctly on my computer. Next, I will run Poetry shell to start my virtual environment. Okay, now that my virtual environment is started, I will then set up my environment variables. I have created an environment variable example file that you can copy and paste and modify to set up the variables. So the first things, after copying and pasting it, you must stay inside the Django backend and create a new .environment file, paste, and now you may enter the password for your workbench. and then the secret key provided for the project. Okay. The next thing that we will do is set up the database. Now I will be using MySQL Workbench to make it easier. I will just sign in. Okay. The script is provided for you, and you can either copy and paste it into the command line for your MySQL, or use MySQL Workbench to run the code, run the script. Now that it has been created, I will now migrate my database. So the first thing I will do is um, Python manage.py make migrations. Okay, so there were no changes detected, so I will then go ahead and do Python manage.py migrate. Now that everything has been migrated, I can see this by refreshing and seeing all the tables populated here. Now, the next step is to create a super user. Since this is our first time, well, not the first time, but since we are starting from a new clone. So Python manage.py create super user. No space. So now we will set up an email. It can be an email. Now username, password. Now the super user has been successfully created. Now we can run the Python, the Django development server. So to run that, we do Python manage.py run server. And now you can, everything is okay. And now we just navigate to admin. So you can go to the admin site. And now as you can see, everything is up and running for the Django backend.
Alright, so in this video I'll be quickly going over how to download and install MySQL and set up the database for our project ArtLens. So first off, you just want to Google MySQL Workbench download. You can do that, or you can just use this link. And you want to find your version, whichever fits your operating system, and then you download. You don't need the account. You can just say no thanks. You start my download, and this will start running. Once it's downloaded, you want to open that file, and then you just install wherever you want it, and you can do whatever you want here, and you install it. For mine, it's gonna probably give an error. Yeah, I'm gonna cancel it because I already have it. Yes. There you go. So now I'll head into the workbench once that is set up. And here what asks you, I think it asks you to set up a connection, something like this. That just leave it the default way, set up a password, and whichever password you use, make sure to write it down because you will need it later. And then you can just log in. If your server is running, it's gonna ask you for that password, which it should. I think when you install it, it actually um, starts running it automatically. So uh, just type it in. There you go. And this is a script that I will provide. And yeah, you just run all of this, and you'll be good to go. Here are the tables and everything that the database has. But let's say your database is not running right, so you'll see something. Let me just show you. You go to the ends. Let me stop. Oh, by the way, this is how to. I forgot this step. If you wanna start running the server, the not the server but the database, you just go to press Windows and search up services and go. You can go down to the ends, MySQL, and click Start Service. That's the way I do it. And you can also do it from the workbench, but sometimes I get errors doing that, so I just do it that way. Then just open up the workbench and wait, let me stop it so I can show you what what's gonna show you. Where's the M? Where's the M? I lost it. Here you go. Okay, so stop it. And then you go into it. It's not gonna ask you for the password when it's not running. That's the first thing. So that's how you know it's not running. It so it doesn't show you the tables and the views. It doesn't show you anything. It shows you like this, server stopped. So to yeah, just run it. I just wanted to show you how it looks when you're not running it. Then refresh. It's gonna ask you for the password, and you put it again. There you go. So now you see this, and you can run this, and you see all the profiles. Everything's good. The backend, not the backend, the database is set up. So yeah, thank you. Right, so in this tutorial, I'll be covering how to create, not how to create, but how to install everything needed to run the Streamlit dashboard for our app ArtLens. And so the first thing you want to make sure is that you're running the database. I've covered how to install the database in another video, but just to make sure you can press Windows and then search up services, and you go here and you find you find MySQL and make sure it's running. For Mac, I'll type the command. Once the database is installed, you just do, if you have brew, you can do brew services start MySQL, and that would start um, the database um, in macOS. But in Windows, it's just that, and once you have the database running, you want to make sure you set up the keys.txt file, which contains the keys that this dashboard will use, and that you want to make sure that the password fits the one that you have in your database. Aside from that, I think all the other information should match if you're doing it the default way, meaning if you didn't change the root or the host, you'll be good. And yeah, once that's set up, you can start running the dashboard. So you would just do, first of all, you have to install the dependencies. So pip install. Let me just find the one that I had here. Pip install dash for the directory,
and then requirements.txt, which already comes in the GitHub, and it should start installing everything. As you can see, everything is installed, so you do CLS to clear, and then you can do streamlit run dashboard.py, and it should start running on the dashboard. And as you can see, this works. So yeah, thank you.
So hello everyone, now we'll proceed with setting up the Flask API. So the first step is to actually navigate to the backend directory. So let's do cd backend. We are there already, I didn't realize. So we are already in the backend, and let's just run that py file. So let's do python run that py. So let's wait a little bit. So yes, it's working. So it takes a couple of minutes because it's actually pre-calculating all the feature vectors for a given range of artworks from the Met API. So that's the reason why it takes a little while. Okay, so it finished running, and sometimes it does this. It reruns the whole thing again. So please just be a little bit patient. Okay, so now works. And in order to test it, to make sure that it works, I suggest you to go and download Postman. So Postman is basically a very nice app that you can use to make requests to your backend so you can test its functionality. For example, right now we have the post similar. This is used for our recommendation system. So let's just send it here. So this is the response that we get, and that means that this is functional. Okay, so the way that you set this up, at first you're gonna start here, right? So you change and you put post, and you give this this port, and you send this body, click on raw and JSON. Okay, and that's pretty much it. So if we wanna also test the tour simulation, we just type this. You already have this as well for inside the document. You do next, send, and this is your resulting path. You can also test with the galleries, and we actually get what we want. Now for the educational resource feature, you just click here and you actually end up with what is expected, but this is not really used from the education. It's rather than that, we have this. So this is just asking to the Gemini a given prompt, that in this case is what is modern art, and its work. However, right now it's not gonna work because I don't have the API key set it up on the current system, but it's gonna work once you have your own API key and you set that up from the backend. Okay, so that's pretty much it. So the backend works, and as simple as this is how you set everything up.
Hi, my name is Nicholas, and I will show you how to install React and run it. So ensure that Node.js, a NPM package manager, is installed. For example, when you installed it through this link here, you'll find this. You'll be directed to here. Just click Next and you can download the npm package manager. So verify your installation and dependencies are running by inputting these commands into the terminal. As we can see, the necessary dependencies are installed. Now, if we would like to direct yourself to the project file after you successfully clone the repository from GitHub. Once you're in the directory of your project, now make sure you go to the front end and web front directory. Now that you're here, you can install the necessary dependencies with npm install. As you can see, was successfully able to install. And now you can load the React app by simply doing npm start. And there you go. Thank you. Hello, I will explain how to run the Gemini API part of the educational resource feature. So, to run an AI generated response, courtesy of Google's Gemini API, we must first ensure we have a valid API key. First, we must access the Google Gemini site right here, and then we will get a Gemini API key in Google AI Studio. Using this, we can log in and create an API key. Now we can copy this key and then go to our code, and we can either put it into a .env file or we can insert it into the code directly. So hard coding it would look like so. Now, if you run the React app and reload it here, we must ensure that the run.py is working. Now that that is up and running, we will successfully have an AI generated response. Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Mauricio Pedra, and today I will be guiding you through the installation process of the iOS app of our ArtLens project. So first, we are going to have to start by ensuring that we have Xcode installed, and if you don't have Xcode installed, you will have to go to the App Store, and you have to search up Xcode here in the search bar, and it will be the first option that you see. Click on install, it will prompt you for your Apple account password, enter that in, and then it will take a while to install, but once it's installed, you open it. It will ask you to agree to a terms of service, click on agree, and once you agree to it, it will take you to a screen that asks you which environments you want to install. You will obviously be forced to install the default macOS environment alongside the iOS 18 environment if you want to run the app on the simulator. That will take a moment, and then once that's done, your Xcode is now set up, so you will want to go to the terminal. In this case, we will use the default Mac terminal. And first, you up here in the home directory, if you want to go to any other directory, you will see here with the ls command that you are in the home directory, and you will see the available directories to go to. In this case, we are going to go to the documents directory, and you can do that by doing cd, which stands for change directory, and then doc, capital D, and if you press tab, it will autocomplete for you. And then once you're in the documents directory, you will go to the GitHub repository, and you will do this command here, git clone https github.com artlens, and then once that command is done, you press enter. It will start cloning the repository onto your documents directory. I already have it in the documents directory as seen here, but the cloning will take a bit, and once it's done, you can press ls to ensure that it's there. You can change to the directory to make sure that everything's installed properly. And from here, you can either open the iOS app from the terminal, or you can go to Xcode itself directly. In this case, for simplicity, we will go to Xcode itself. We will go to the Spotlight, and we will go to Xcode. And then we have the museum app. I already have it pre-opened, but for those that don't have it opened already, you will go here to open existing project. You will either show up in the documents directory immediately, or you will have to click on the favorites documents here on the side. You'll travel to the ArtLens Met Insights. So, just for example, click on ArtLens Met Insights. You will open up the front end folder, then the iOS front. Then you open up the museum app, and then once you have the museum app selected, you press open. This might take a bit if it's your first time. And then you will see no editor open if you haven't opened it up before, because you have to click on one of the files first to see the code that's already inside. And then once you want to run the app, you press the play button up here. It might take a bit if it's your first time, but it will eventually say build succeeded, and it will start installing the app and building it onto the iOS simulator. The iOS simulator will open up here, so you can see it's building and installing. This might take longer if it's your first time. And it will take a bit to start up because the simulator is inherently a little slow, and it's also the first time you're building the app. So eventually you will be met with the sign-in screen and the sign-up screen. And from here you will be able to sign in or sign up. And you will be met with the Explorer view, the recommended view, the virtual tour view, the favorites view. But some of those features, for example, the recommended artworks and the virtual tour features, will not work out of the box. You will have to first set up the backend, but the backend portion of the project will be explained further on in the video, so stay tuned for that. And thank you. That is all for the iOS app.
I'll quickly go over how to set up the backend for macOS for our application ArtLens. So the first thing you want to do, this is a recommendation. You can do without this, but this is really nice feature to have. So Homebrew is for easy installations of packages in Mac. So you copy this. I'll put this link in the files, but there you go. It's just brew.sh. And then you would copy this into your terminal. So you just click copy there, and then you can go up here and type terminal. You'll get into the terminal, and so here I'll clear, so it's all, there you go. So you just paste that in mine, and you just put the password. This is your Mac password, so you just type it in, and then it'll tell you, oh, the script will install. So I will abort because I already have the Homebrew, so use any key. And then after you have installed Homebrew, you can do brew start. Brew services start MySQL, and mine's already running, but it'll start running the MySQL. So that's the main part of it. Then with this running, you would go into your Visual Studio Code, you would into the clone repository, and you would go into the backend. So let me show you. So you're originally in this page when you create a new terminal, here a new terminal. So you do cd backend, and backend. So now you're in the backend, and here you would just do Python, which is to run Python files, and then just run that py. And with this, you will start running the backend, the recommendation feature, as well as the tour. And so the app will work normally. And so yeah, that's pretty much it for the backend.